Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Is my marriage legit? When we talk about a foreigner marrying a Filipina, a lot of times a person can think that it's not really a valid marriage. After all, there's this large age group. You probably didn't know each other all that well. You didn't marry somebody from nearby in your own country. You had to go thousands and thousands of miles away, and your motives are questioned, and just the legitimacy of your marriage can be questioned. So I wanted to talk about that. The Bible talks about marriage in Matthew 19:6, where it says, "What God has joined together, let not man put asunder, let not man tear it apart." God bonds two people together, and His will is that they stay that way. But as far as requirements, the only requirement that I can think of in the Bible is that, first of all, a person, of course, the will of God is that every person be saved. And then the will of God is that that saved person marry. And that saved person is to marry a Christian. If a person is not a believer, they obviously will not be looking for a believer. But as far as a Christian goes, there is one limit. It's only one limit. It seems like a big limit, but if you can expand your search out of your own country, that kind of makes it a smaller limitation if you consider Christians all over the world. So for me, that was the main one. There really is no age given other than whatever is necessary to be legal in your country. As far as an age gap, that's kind of up to the discernment of the people, what culture you're from, education. You know, do you have to have somebody with a college degree? My wife has a college degree. I don't. That really wasn't something that was important to me, that I was looking for, but I'm certainly glad that she does. The main thing was I wanted a Christian. Marriages can be arranged or they can be by choice. There's no geography limit either. I shouldn't have to say this, but I will. Marriage is between a man and a woman only. So even though marriages can be arranged and be legitimate, you know, I'm certainly glad that I had a choice. I always kind of wanted to marry a Filipina. I really didn't expect to, but of course I'm very happy that I did. Now some people have a long list of requirements in a spouse, and that just isn't helpful. It's more important to know your role. And as a man, that would be the husband is to be a protector and provider for his wife. Now, I know a couple that has a 50, well, let's hold that back there. I would say it's at least a 47, 48-year age gap. Now, this man has talked to his wife, I'm sure, in depth about his expectations and her expectations. He has told her what he needs and how he can be benefited in their marriage, and certainly what her needs are and how her and her children can be benefited by their marriage. And they both willfully contracted that marriage, and they, you know, they're going about it as two adults, using their minds, making their best decision under the circumstances. And I won't go into their circumstances, but the point is, he's upfront and honest with her about what he needs, and she is with him, and they have gotten married. And if they're going to be going about meeting those needs, I think that marriage is legitimate and warranted. So when two people are married, they have to make it work. So choosing wisely is important. However, that does not mean that you have to have such a small list of a large list of requirements that it makes the pool of available people very small. I needed a Christian. I needed somebody to be my helper. I have no problem with that. I needed touch. I needed companionship. I needed intimacy. That's what I told my wife, and before we were married, and she told me her needs, and now we go about taking care of those things. Certainly you need to be supportive of each other in married, and you certainly have to be committed to each other. People's main objection to marrying a Filipina is that she wants more than a husband. She wants a green card. She might want citizenship. She might want someone to provide for her. And you know what? Those are good things. She should want a green card. She should want to be a U.S. citizen. This is a first world country. It's got its problems, just like they all do, but it is still a desirable country. And there's absolutely nothing wrong and kind of judgmental to think that way of somebody coming from a third world country. If they want a better life and they can find that marrying a foreigner, more power to them. Now, I wanted a woman who was poor. That's up to me. It's not a requirement, but eventually as I got older, I wanted to make a difference in somebody's life, and I actually did start to want a woman who did not have much. And if this woman thought marrying me would give her a better life and a brighter future, so be it. I love to take care of my wife materially and emotionally, and she knows that I am crazy about her. And my wife does meet my simple needs, like I said, companionship, intimacy, and touch. If there's any more than that, I don't know, maybe they fall into those categories, but that's what comes to mind. Now, we plan on doing this until one of us dies. She will likely move back to the Philippines if I likely die first. As far as us living there after retirement, that would kind of have to do with health concerns. Can I get meds in the Philippines? Can I get health care the way I need it in the Philippines? So is my marriage legit? Or any man marrying a Filipina that has a large age gap? It is legitimate because I'm committed to fulfilling my role as a protector and a provider for more than money. That's just part of it. And she has been my helper in the ways I need it. I am satisfied, I am fulfilled, and I think my wife is too. So the world is a possibility for somebody to find a wife. Now, because there aren't a lot of requirements, what's keeping you from finding your love beyond the sea?